So y'all, we are back with Tyler Perry's Beauty in Black, season 1, episode 4, A Family Affair. So y'all, the episode starts with Norman walking into the board meeting screaming, asking who hit his wife. Horace and Norman go at it, and Olivia tells Roy to get up and do something, and Roy looking at her like, you better get somebody else to do it. And so she tells Roy, you ain't and Norman says, yeah, you ain't this fruitcake. And then when he said that, Charles got up and was like, I will beat your And so his mama tell him to sit down, and I'm just looking at the mama like, ma'am, now you done asked Roy to stand up and do something about it. He was looking at you like you had 3 breasts. So then Charles get up, and then you want to tell him to sit down, ma'am. You protect him too much. I mean, I like to think you protect both of your monsters and both of your little Menendez twins, but one is favored more over the other. Anyway, Norman and Horace starts to argue, and they must have some childhood history because Horace tells Norman that he's the reason they in this mess, and we find out that Norman tells Horace, we find out that he tried to take the company away from Norman, and Norman sues his brother. And so I was like, wow, this is insane. So Horace tells Olivia she's always protecting those boys, and that's why Charles is the way he is. And so Charles was like, how am I? And so Horace tells him, you a loser. And I was like, yeah. And I really think that Horace is frustrated with Charles. It's not really Charles he's frustrated with, is with himself, because he sees his son living a lifestyle that it seems that he wants to live, because you are frequenting the strip club looking for Angel. And so at this point, Olivia is telling both of them to stop arguing. Nobody's listening. They're not hearing her. And so Norman accuses Charles of running over his wife, and Charles said, you know I didn't do it. But he then says, I wish I had. I was like, oh my God. And he said, anything to make you miserable. And I was like, wow. And so he left. Charles left and went back to his office. And again, Norman tells Olivia, you did nothing but protect those boys, and that's why neither of them ain't crap. And so Horace asked Norman, well, where are your kids? And so Norman was like, that's low. And so Horace was like, you're low. And I was like, excuse me? And so Norman lets them know, if anything happens to my wife, I'm going to burn this blankety blank down to the ground. All of it. So he leaves, and then Horace was like, I'm tired. Burn it down then. I'm tired of carrying this damn family on my back. And I was like, whoa. And he leaves and goes to his office. And so Roy looks at Barney and was like, what you looking at? And then he gets up and leave. And so Attorney Barney was like, well, where should I trying to proceed with the meeting. And that's when what's her name, Mallory, left. And so y'all, we get into the next scene where Olivia walks in to Horace's office, and y'all, Horace is just so cruel to her, and he tells her to get out. She tells him to shut up, and Olivia tells Horace not to make Norman angry. And Horace says, I didn't run over the lady, the B word. And so Olivia reminds Horace that Norman knows everything. And Horace says to Olivia, why are you here? Go to church. And I'm just like, is she a pastor or something? So Olivia grabs her things and says, nobody wants to listen to me. And then Horace was like, get out. And she turned around and she told him, mother sucker, who you talking to? Who you talking to? So Olivia reminds Horace that Norman is the devil. And she leaves. But he knows that. He knows his brother is the devil. So, we see Norman going in a parking lot, and he's telling Jules that he found Ina's shoe out on the side of that road, and it was covered in blood. And so he thinks that it was one of his nephews, in which technically that is true. And Norman was like telling Jules, are you with me or are you with him? Are you loyal to my brother? So Jules was like, I'm loyal to you. And I'm just like, Jules, you ain't loyal to nobody but you. I'm willing to believe that. So Norman then heads to his car, speeds off and leaves. And so Charles walked up on the driver and Jules and was like, he made a comment about his uncle. And so Jules and so Norman, no, Charles asked Jules, so you think I did it? And so Jules was like, I don't know, did you? And so Charles was like, I do a lot of things, but I'm not like my brother. I'm not messed up like my brother. And so he walks towards he says my brother is an idiot, a a-hole. He's trying to get the girl up there to give him fellatio. And so that's when he walked off. And we see the driver was like, we need to look into Roy. And he's like, that's what we need to look into. And so Jules was like, are you questioning me? Do you I need to remind you who I am? And so the driver was like, I know who you are. He was like, yeah, because you and that trick, can of course threaten to send him to jail. So I was like, that gotta be another one of their victims. And so Olivia comes out to the parking garage, runs behind Charles and says, do not antagonize your uncle. Your uncle is crazy. He was like, well, I didn't know you was afraid of him. He was like, I'm not, but you should be. He is the devil. So she was like, as a matter of fact, you come to my house and I will, you can stay with me for a while. And so, because she was telling him not to go back up that private road. And so he was like, and Charles was like, but we live there. I live there. So she was like, well, you can just come stay with me because I'm assuming she doesn't live on a private road anymore. And so he was like, I'll just get a hotel. And he reminds his mom that y'all didn't do right by us. Y'all were our parents, but y'all didn't do right by us. And so he was like, Mom, I'll see you later. And he gets in his car and speeds off. Again, this is Olivia's second time reminding them how evil and how cruel Norman is, and what he will go through, what he will do to make sure his family is fine or whatever. It's a lot. So we get to the next scene where Mallory and Attorney Varney is in Mallory's office, and she asks, like, how bad is the lawsuit? And so the Attorney Varney tells her if they go through with the lawsuit, then they're going to be bankrupt. And so she was like, well, no, we can't do that. Is there anything, do I need to move some shares over? He said that she can do that because they're going to look into all of that. So no, there is nothing she can do at the moment. And so, Mallory then asked Barney, if he want to go grab a drink. And he was like, no, he declined at first. And she was like, it's just one drink. And he was like, well, all right, just one drink, and then I'm going home. And so we get to the scene with Kimmy. Her phone rings, and it's her mom calling and begging her for some money. And so she told Kimmy, we need money. Me and what's his name, Frank. We need me and Frank need money. And I'm just like, girl, if you and Frank don't go get no job, but you can tell Kimmy still have a soft spot for her mother. And I was just like, girl, And so she told Kimmy, she was like, Kimmy told her mom, so Frank is still there. And she was like, yeah. And she was like, well, I was gonna come live there for a while, but since he's there, I won't show up. And she was like, well, no, it's best that you don't show up, and that he doesn't even want Kimmy's mom talking on the phone. So she hung up. But before she hung up, Kimmy says, Mom, I love you. And her mom was like, and hang up the phone. And I was like, wow. Anyway, Kimmy gets a knock on the door, and it's Angel. And Angel comes in there to let her know, how much that watch was worth. That watch was worth $1.2 million. And that he looked up the guy, and, now he wants to rob him. And so she was like, no, we not doing that. And he was like, it can help us, we can get out of this situation that we're in. And so Kimmy was like, we can't do that. Just because who he's connected to, they're gonna find out, they're gonna find us. And so she was like, we know where all the bodies are buried, so we cannot do that. And so in the next scene, we see Olivia. She goes to the hospital to go talk to Norman about having him to lay off of her boys about what happened. And we also find out that Norman and Olivia messed around. Ina found out, and he was like, Ina wouldn't want you here, and I don't want you here, and I want you to leave. And so she was telling him we was once friends. And so at this point, he's like, not anymore. You keep trying to protect your boys, and this is the problem that Norman is having with Olivia. And so Olivia, she basically like, I'm going to protect my boys. But let's go back to the fact that you and Norman messed around, and the fact that Ina knew about it, and you still stayed with him? Girl, I guess. And so, Olivia, ask him and begging him, please, just leave my sons alone. And so, she said she's gonna do what she also said she's gonna do what she have to do to protect her sons. So she pulls out this envelope and she gives it to Norman, and the envelope has evidence that he is the ringleader of that human trafficking thing that Jules got going on. So technically, he is Jules' boss, not just in the company as head of security, but he is Jules' boss outside this whole drug trafficking thing. And so Olivia knows everything about it, but she had to pull out that draw for Uno on him and was like, if you harass my sons, if you keep playing with me, I'm gonna have to throw this card out on you. And so he was like, you think I give a care about that? Baby, Norman ain't no joke. He was like, I don't care about that. Do what you need to do. Take me to jail. Lock me up. Throw away the key. I'm sorry. So, I was just really shocked because I wasn't expecting Norman to be the ringleader of this here CMB. Not CMB, but you know what I'm saying. That's a lot. Y'all, that's a lot. And so we get to the restaurant where Mallory is with attorney Barney, and before we get to them, we actually see the driver talking to the assistant, and we are to understand that those two mess around, and so he asks her, you know, Calvin asks Jillian, that's their names, Calvin and Jillian. He asked her, did she give him perform fellatio on Roy? And she said, well, I didn't have a choice. You said you was going to get us out of this, and we're stuck. We don't have a choice. We have to do what they say. So of course Calvin is mad, and I'm like, oh. And so we go over to the dinner table with Mal and Barney, and she asks, they just have exchange pleasantries and just have small talk, and so she asks him, do you want to sleep with me? Just point blank to the point, just straight to the point. And Barney was like, this is inappropriate, and he turns down her advances and attempts to leave the restaurant. And so she told him to sit down, and she was like, you're not going to leave this restaurant because optics is everything for me. I'm going to leave, and I'm going to leave you here, because she didn't get what she wanted. And so I'm glad he didn't. Anyway, Mallory walks up to Jillian and Calvin. She tells Jillian, you find a ride home, and tells Calvin to take her home. And I was like, that is so messed up. Like, that is messed up. And so we get to the next scene. We get to the club, and Belinda tells Kimmy. So y'all, Belinda tells Kimmy to get dressed so she can get on the stage. And so Kimmy went into the dressing room, and one of the girls noticed the bruises on her leg, and she had to put makeup on it. And so the whole time you see bodies there talking Cash Money ish. So y'all, we get to the next scene where Mallory tells Calvin to pull the car over and come sit in the back seat with him. So he did that, and they start to have a conversation. And so out of all of that, he goes boop, boop, and give her what she needs. So we get back to the strip club scene, and we see that sorry y'all, we see that Kimmy, it seems as Kimmy has this huge tab that she owes Jules. I want to say $237,000, and then Rain owes over $400,000. We don't know what Angel owed, but it was at one point where the Linda and Body owed $80,000, but that was at a different timing. But at the end of the day, y'all are still victims too, but they think they up here on a stripper pole. Anyway, Chorus comes back to the club and asks for Kimmy, and so Kimmy gets in there. Belinda takes her off the stage and say, you ain't making no money, and send her in the private VIP room. So he asked her what's going on, and so it was just a back and forth. And she was like, he said, are you mad because I didn't go see your friend? And so she was like, no. And so that's when we find out that Kimmy had a conversation with him about Horace, Roy, and what's going on with the club. And we didn't see that, and that is the problem I'm having. Why didn't we as the viewers get to see that? We just hearing about it, that they had that conversation. And so he wanted Angel again, so they end up going back to the hotel. And so she knows that Angel wants to rob him, but before they go back to the hotel, Horace sees his son in the club trying to talk to Angel. So he tells Kimmy, go over there and tell him to not talk to Angel. And so she went over there, yanked him away, and whatever. So Angel was like, well, we can go to the hotel room, I do what I need to do. And so they all those three go to the hotel room. Kimmy's standing outside. They all three are standing outside. So Angel was like, well, you can come back. And Angel was like, Angel tells Kimmy that she can leave. And Kimmy was like, I'm not leaving, because she already know Angel gonna try to rob him. And so Horace was like, just give us an hour. And so she left. She actually left and went over to the hospital to go see Rain. So she gets to Rain's bed and notices that she's not there. So she's like, well, where is Rain? What happened? And so there's a lady in the bed next to her that says she died. And y'all, this is where the episode ends. Again, this was good. I'm gonna come back this week sometime with episode 5. But y'all make sure to like, comment. I'm sorry, y'all. Make sure y'all like, comment, and subscribe. And I will see y'all on the next video. If I missed something, y'all just please let me know. I'm not, hey, let me know. Because I know I missed a couple things in this video. But y'all, I had to put out 6 videos today. So judge my head and not my heart. But anyway, I will see y'all in the next. And y'all have a great day. Bye.